This session is Canvas for Parents, and it's the 2004-2005 school year, presented by the Issaquah School District. So for parents to understand for Canvas there are two versions. Actually, there are multiple versions of Canvas. Stephanie and I have three of the different versions, so she might have more. So I use the Canvas for Teachers. I also, as a parent in the school district, I also have Canvas for Parents. And then I think sometimes when we have PDs, they post stuff for us as teachers. So then we see it kind of as a student view. But as a parent, all of you, the view that you're going to be using will give you the ability to read course announcements in Canvas, see course assignment pages, preview course documents, view the course syllabus. It's key. Every single teacher is required to put the course syllabus on their page, and so you'll be able to see that. You will be able to see the calendar, course calendar for that class. You can also have time to look at your child's grades on the laptop, the desktop view with more details than the app, and we'll talk more about that later. You can also use the inbox feature to message with teachers and access the students' conversations. That's just the communication, and Stephanie will talk more about that in the inbox and the notifications pages. So one of the key things to note is very often parents might want to just Google Canvas.
Lauren, do you want to share your screen so we can follow up?
Thank you so much. I knew that was going to happen. So very often parents sometimes want to use Canvas for Parents and just Google it and try to access it that way. I would very much recommend that you don't use it. Go onto the Issaquah School District webpage, go to the school's webpage, but those sites help you get to the Canvas for Parents site much more clearly and easily. And one of the things to note is all of your emails will be coming from issaquah.instructure.com, and we'll talk more about that. But the IST webpage, the school's webpage, all have access to Canvas. And this is what our Canvas main login looks like. And make sure you always see the Issaquah School District logo, because many institutions, secondary, use Canvas. Another issue that you might face is sometimes as parents are trying to set up their Canvas account, they are unable to, and that's because their email that they're trying to log in with is not connected with Canvas. So you might want to make sure that your email is the email you're using to sign into the Canvas is the one on a family access. The other problem that parents face is once they are setting up their Canvas account and they ask for the password, forget password, to set their password that very first time, very often they might not have received their password. So it's important to check your junk mail because especially Gmail, I know, and some other email accounts, it's the resetting sometimes is a little bit hard to get that. And then finally, if you do have questions, we do have an email that you can reach out to ask for help for this. On our district website through portals, there's also a page that has a lot of troubleshooting information so that you can try to troubleshoot it yourself also. Canvas for Students gives students a lot more access to other student information in the class, such as the course, such as the locate and access course assignments, view single calendars, but Canvas for Students allows students to access teacher information, participate in live stream lessons, view recording, locate and access course assignments, and also look at their calendar. So it is very important, however, because we've noticed in the events that we've been doing in the past 3 years, sometimes parents are struggling with their access, and it's actually because they're trying to use their child's login information or trying to access through the student's portal. So note that there are two sites to log into Canvas. One is Canvas for students, and the other one is Canvas for parents. So make sure you're using the right one, because if you're using Canvas for students, you might not be able to get in. So make sure you also log in as yourself because of privacy. And it really violates the confidentiality and privacy policies of other students in the school if you log in using your child's account. And final reminder that this year, you probably saw the many emails that went out. Students are accessing their Canvas account using the login with the Microsoft button. And if your student still needs help, they should ask their child's teacher or one of the teachers, a homeroom teacher or the school librarian, to help them with their Canvas account. One of the things you as parents cannot do is submit assignments, read course discussions, take quizzes, join course groups, send messages to students, or see the course roster, or see any unpublished courses. And then finally, for parents logging into Canvas, make sure you, as we said, use the email from your Skyward, and then click on forgot your password for the first time users. A pop-up button is going to come up and say that please check your spam. It may take up to 30 minutes, and honestly, sometimes it does take anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes, if not 30 minutes. And then check your email to make sure that you have access to that password reset. So when you get in, you're going to first get on the dashboard page. And what we're going to do in the next 10, 15 minutes is Stephanie is going to log into a dummy account. So actually I should say a student account. And
parent account, yes.
Parent account. So it's not a real student. So there's no confidentiality issues in sharing these sites with you, this parent access with you. And while she's doing that, I will be giving you some tips and tricks on how to navigate it, or Stephanie will be sharing those tips with you as you're doing it. So for Stephanie to do this, I'm going to stop sharing, and Stephanie will now share her computer.
So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm logged in as a parent here. And as Lorna pointed out, this is a parent that we created so that they have students in our system that we can kind of act as those students and do some stuff. And first of all, I would just like to note that I've logged in as the parent, and right away I see these giant like notifications sitting on the dashboard. I wanted to leave these here purposefully because they're distracting. And they may not be pertinent to you, but schools are putting these out for you and your student to know. And depending on how you have your notifications set, these will come directly to your email, and you don't even really have to log into Canvas to see them. But it is okay to close these down. So I'm just going to go ahead and close these down right now. Hopefully, we'll see if it's going to cooperate with me. I'll refresh. It wants me to re-log in. So as you saw, I logged in just using an email and password. So I'm going to go ahead and close these down, and I'm going to show you how you can actually find them again. You go back to your account right here, and you go back to global announcements. So it's okay to close those down and find them under global announcements. And that's okay for your students too. So I just want to share that because sometimes they don't know that they can do that. They feel like, oh, I can't close those down, and they take up a lot of space. So right now I'm looking at my dashboard, and I am in as a parent, and I'm a parent in this moment of 2 students in our district. So if I toggle up here in the upper right-hand corner, I have the ability to go between my 2 students very easily. The add student doesn't work in our district. Parent accounts are only created through Skyward. So they are all rostered in. It's only parent 1 and parent 2. And the only way your account will be created is if you have an email associated with parent 1 and parent 2, And in addition to that, it has to be a independent email. So if parent one and parent two are using the same email, only one parent will get an account then. So just think about how you have that set in Skyward. And if you would like to have individual accounts, you'll need to make sure you have two individual emails, and those are parent one and parent two. Some of the other things to talk about the dashboard is some of the customization. So the default is to be set like this, where you can see the tiles here. In the three dots up here, you can also choose to list view, which a lot of students choose to do this view. So they kind of start to see what is based on their assignments and things that are happening. So you can see something was graded, they need to redo it. So it's put up there for them to do, and anything coming up in their classes would be showing up there as well. And then they also have the option to do recent activity. And so this is another view. I personally, as a parent, prefer the card view because I can actually do a little bit more with this view. So as you can see over here on the side, I have my to-do list. It is not my to-do list. It's actually my students' to-do list, but it's letting me know what they have coming up on their assignments and things that they need to do. And then each of these tiles is representative of a class that my student is taking. And it's really great. And this just happened about 2 or 3 years ago, that I can actually do it by student. So if I go into my student, Marianne, she only has 3 classes versus my student, Elizabeth. If I go back to Elizabeth, has many more classes here. So I can scroll down and see them. You have the option for each of these to drag and drop where you would like them to be on your dashboard, so you can organize them in what matters most to you. So for example, if you're really concerned about how your student's doing in English, you might move that to the top. And then of course you might say that, oh, I'm okay with the library course being towards the bottom because they don't get a grade for that. The other things you can do here as well, using the 3 dots, you can actually nickname the course. So if you don't like the way that the course name is showing, like it's confusing or you don't understand what the course name is based off of that, you can just say English. And you can even do color coding. So if I choose a different color and I apply it, it kind of puts a layer on that color. That color is important because that color actually corresponds to the calendar. So when I go into my calendar, and I'm going to show that in just a minute here, when I go into the calendar, these course colors correspond to it. So something I've done in the past, if you have more than one student in the district, is I've actually tried to correspond the color to the student. So you can choose any color that you want here using a hex code, and I'm going to not go too deep on this right now. But for example, if my student here, Elizabeth, I wanted to make everything in the warm tones, I could just apply warm tones for all of Elizabeth's stuff here. So let's just do that really quickly. And then if I go into Marianne and I just choose to have Marianne be in all the cool tones, then what that does for Marianne and me, and just for my sense of understanding, when I go into the calendar later, we're going to see very easily that they're color coded. So that is a little bit about using the dashboard, being able to drag and drop. The other thing to note here is that there are little icons here. And these little icons are letting me know things that have happened in the class. So right now I can see that there's an assignment that's coming up in this class. This one has an announcement that's been created in addition to an assignment. So if I toggle over these, they mean something. So this one's files. This one is also saying there's an announcement. So those little icons just mean that what's been happening in the course. The dashboard also has over here the ability to have recent feedback. So these are things that were graded. So if I want to quickly access them, and when I get to notifications in just a minute, I can tell you how you can get all of this in your email very quickly so you can get to it faster so you don't have to come log in. And then right down here is a quick access to viewing grades. So if I don't want to have to go in course by course, I can actually pop over here and view grades. And notice that this doesn't separate by student, so it's Elizabeth and Marianne together. But what it does do is give me an overall of their course grades in one quick view. I'm going to pause there for just 1 second and see if there was any questions about the dashboard and what I can access from the dashboard. All right, I'm going to move on then. The other thing that you're probably going to want to make sure that you do is set your notifications. So I'm going to go ahead and go over here to the account and notifications right here. And notifications are really important because the default notifications for Canvas, we cannot change those for you. They are just set automatically. And this is probably one of the most annoying features of Canvas is the default notification settings because they come instantly. So if you find that you are getting instant notifications and you're confused and you want to fix this, you actually have to come in here to fix the notifications that you're getting in your email. If you have an email set up in Skyward, Parent 1 or Parent 2, you will automatically get a Canvas account here, and you will automatically get notifications sent to you. The app that we're going to show you in just a little bit is actually a whole different set of notifications that are only available through the app. So if you are getting frustrated or want to tailor the notifications that come through your email, you have to do it here. So you do have to log in here. So I'm just going to go through a couple of these, and I'm going to note right up here at the top. You can set account notifications, which is the default for every course in the account, or you can choose specific courses. If there's a course that you have more concern about or you want more information about, you can set those separately. So it's just letting you know account level apply to all. Individuals can override those. It also lets you know that daily notifications get delivered around 6 o'clock. So for example, I have a student in the district and I got my notification sent to me at 6 o'clock today. And I can check very quickly grades, comments, and information. Weekly notifications are between Friday between 9 and 11 p.m. So you kind of just have to make that difference for yourself. Notice here that if you want to differentiate the notifications for students, you can do that, or if you want them to be the same. So you can kind of decide what you need to have done here. So you can show name of observed students in notifications, or you can just have general. As a parent of 2, I would want to have it show the observed students' names because then I can see what was happening for each student. You have some options here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this one. You can choose notify immediately, daily summary, weekly summary, or to turn notifications off. If you're not sure, I would just do a daily summary on it. But I'm going to go through a few of these that I recommend a couple different things on. And I'm going to explain a few because they are not intuitive. You don't know what they mean exactly because it's Canvas's language of saying certain things. So due date, if you want to know the due dates, you can go ahead and choose that. And I would limit that to weekly or daily. You don't need to know the due dates for all the assignments. Another caveat with that is the fact that teachers often change the due dates, and every time they change the due date, you would get a notification. So I would highly recommend not getting notified immediately. I personally have mine set to notifications off on that. I don't really necessarily need to know the due dates because if I want to know a due date, I can go look at the calendar. So that's how I look at that. If you want to know grading policies, I would do that as a summary. Course content is a summary. Announcements, you could do a daily summary. Most teachers use announcements sparingly, but some teachers use them frequently. So it kind of is up to you. You could test it out to see about having an instant notification versus a daily summary. Grading, you might want to just have as a daily summary as well. So that gives you kind of one summary email throughout the day of all the things that got graded for that day. And if you want the scores to be included, so include scores when alerting about grades, you can go ahead and turn that on that way. And it's just letting you know that because it's being sent to your email, it's no longer housed within Canvas, but it's also in your email. But that's a choice that you can make right there. A lot of these you could turn off if you would like to, or put to the daily summary. But I do want to talk about this one right here, which is conversations. Conversations is actually the inbox. So teachers use the inbox to send messages to students and oftentimes attach the observer to that notification. So I highly recommend that conversations are set to notify immediately. Um, Teachers have moved to using this system instead of necessarily email or Outlook, or Skyward even to send notifications. So having it here will go right directly to your email. The nice thing is even though that this is an inbox messaging system through Canvas, you don't have to log into Canvas to access these as long as you have them set up to come to your email. You can actually reply through your email and it will still go to the teacher through this inbox messaging. So I do think that it's important to have these ones to be notified immediately. Scheduling isn't used very often, so you can just choose how you want that to be set up because you're probably not going to get notifications about that. You won't be added to groups. We don't use conferences in Canvas. And then these are the other alerts. So this administrative one, these ones are more about like enrollments, generations of things. I don't even know if you'll necessarily see any of these things, but the global announcements. So remember when I was telling you about those big banners on the front page, that's what the global announcements are. I would recommend that you have those set to immediate as well, just because sometimes those are the fastest way for schools to communicate to all students. And if they need observers to know, they'll mark that you should be notified as well. So that is my recommendations for notifications. Are there any questions about notifications?
And just a reminder for parents, when I send the slide deck, we have a slide with just our recommendations based on what Stephanie has said. So you can just kind of look at what our screen, the notification screen, as Stephanie showed you, versus what you might want to do. So just so you know, you don't have to play this whole video again, or you can. It just, we will have some recommendations in the slide deck when we send it to you.
All right. Some of the other things on the site over here is settings. This is where you can actually change your password and do some other information. So you could edit and change your password. If you have additional email addresses that you would like to have added to your account, you can do all of that there.
We also recognize that many parents have given the district a specific email, and that's not the one that they check regularly.
Mhm.
So in settings, this is the place that you can add other emails that you might want to have information sent to you that are not necessarily in family one and family two, just to get the information, especially if you're sending any kind of immediate notifications to yourself and it's not something you check very often, maybe an email you only check once a day. And so you might want to put in that one immediate so that you can get the notifications immediately sent to you. One of the nice things also about Canvas, as I told you earlier, once you put the at instructure.com in your safe sender list, all of these emails coming from Canvas will automatically come into your inbox rather than in your junk mail. I know that is a problem for Skyward emails or emails coming from teachers in the school district. Sometimes it's hard to set us that they're safe and get all those emails coming to your inbox. So sometimes parents miss emails from new teachers or different staff members in the building. So again, once you made notifications at instructure.com, that notifications at instructure.com, all of the emails you're getting come from there, except I believe the teacher information, because then you're able to reply to the teachers using that inbox message.
The only other thing, so again, I'm in account right now. The only other thing I want to point out here, because we're going to probably come to it a little bit later, is this is where you actually find the QR for mobile login. And it is absolutely the easiest way to log into the mobile app is using the QR code. And so if you identify and log in on the web browser, and then you use that QR code to log into the phone app, it will just be super easy. Do we want to go to the calendar right now, or do we want to go to a course and look at kind of like grades? What do we want to do next, Lorna?
The next one is inbox, just to
Okay,
do a quick demonstration, and then
sure.
after that one is calendar.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm over here on this global navigation and here's the inbox. I can see the tag of number 4 up there on the top because what's happening is it's letting me know that I have messages that I have yet to read. So I can see over here, they have the blue dot, and that means that I have yet to have read them. And as soon as I click on it and I read through something, then I click on the other one and that blue dot's gone away. And then eventually this will update and I will only have 3 unread. This works exactly like email in a way. It's a little less robust than email. But the nice thing here is that you can compose a message. And when you compose a message, you can actually select the course and then you can choose, and you'll have a limited amount of people you can choose, but you can get directly to the teacher from there. So if you are not 100% sure who you need to contact, you can just go here and then the teacher will be available to you. And it works just like anything else in the fact that you can put your subject and then you can type your message in here and then you can even attach stuff here. One thing to note about this is that it is a conversation. It's not a true email. So when you do linked things, it doesn't, you literally are pasting a link in there. It doesn't let you hyperlink anything. So attachments are a little bit better. I personally prefer to use email when I'm going back and forth with a classroom teacher, but this is a great way of at least starting it if you don't know where else to start. Students, just to be clear, can only receive emails, which includes messages from district approved emails. And so they cannot actually receive an email in their district email from their parent. So I'm just letting you know that because if I were to come in here and I would go to my student and I choose my student right here, this is going to go to their ISD email and they are not going to get notified that I sent them a message here. If they have their personal email set up to get messages, they would get it there. So this is just to let you all know that this is not the best way to communicate with your student if you're trying to send them information. I personally use screenshots and send them to my students when I get grades. That's been my favorite pastime.
One of the things for inbox that was different for me, and Stephanie noted that some teachers have different preferences for communication. For the first 3 years that I used, that we've adopted Canvas, the teachers had always said, just send me an email. This was the first year that I had a teacher during curriculum night that said that they preferred communicating via the Canvas inbox. So you can still definitely use a teacher's email, but just note what is the teacher preference, especially if you're trying to go back and forth quickly, because some teachers are probably on their Canvas account more often during the course of the teaching day. That is probably something more accessible for them to use and note and check. So just keep that in mind in the next few years as you're communicating with teachers. So honestly, I am still using the email for most of my teachers, and I just, have a mental note for this one teacher to use Canvas. So just keep that in mind in syllabus or when you went to your curriculum night.
Yeah, that's actually a really great point because if you think about a teacher's day to day, they're sitting here in Canvas all day long. And so the inbox notifications is constantly going up or down. So if they're maintaining their inbox, it would be a notification to them instantly. So, yes. So that's the gist of the inbox. You can clean up your inbox by selecting and you can delete
One
old
second, sorry,
conversations.
Stephanie.
Sure.
I know this is something for me too, and I know we get this question all the time. How do we delete emails in inbox? Because I have over 100 and this parent has 177.
Yeah. So you can actually select them all right here. If you choose, I don't remember if it lets you do this anymore. Let's see if it will let me do it. You can do, nope, it's not letting me. So you can do, select a few here and then you can just hit delete. Deleting an email deletes it forever. I'm just letting you know. And if you select and you choose instead to archive it, you can actually go back into the archive of emails. So you can come back here. I would also like to point out to you, you can sort by courses And right here, you can choose unread, starred, sent, archived, and submission comments. I'm going to pull up submission comments just because I want to talk about it for a second. And I've never actually done this as a teacher or as a parent before, but students, if they're wanting to see what their teachers have said about their assignment comments, this is actually where they can get this. So this is what the submission comments mean. It looks like it doesn't let it show for a teacher, or I'm in the wrong student account. Makes sense that it wouldn't work for a parent because you're not getting submission comments, but that's something that you could even support your student with if you would like to.
Thank you for sharing that, Stephanie. I had never used that feature, and I was like, wait, what? But it makes sense that
It's
I cannot see it. It's only my
it's one
children.
that I impressed the teachers with in July at Ignite, and they were like, what? They
And
were
that
very
would be great, especially for sixth and seventh grade students, because sometimes they might not be familiar with reading comments from their teachers. And so if you as a parent are sitting at the table or sitting with your child on their Canvas account going through, because in sixth and seventh grade, you're taking the role mainly as a coach and helping your child with assignments and helping them figure out how to navigate their Canvas account and check for homework and such. So during that time, that would be a great time for you as you're sitting with them on their account to say, hey, did you know, or have you, or let's try this, so that you can better understand what your teachers are saying about your assignments. So that at that point, it is okay for you to basically look over your child's shoulder as they're reading their Canvas, they're using their own Canvas account, because you personally are not logging into their account, but you're coaching and mentoring them as they are working on their account, in their account, to do homework. Okay, so that might be one place for you to use this feature.
yeah, perfect. So we're going to go ahead and move into the calendar. So I'm going to pop into calendar. So again, I'm on that global navigation. And you do have the option over here to look at different calendars. Um, you might be subscribed to specific calendars, and I'm just going to talk about this for a minute. Our high schools will auto subscribe you to a calendar. You have to choose to subscribe to other calendars that you might see. So for example, if you would like to see, if you're with Pine Lake or if you're Maywood, those calendars might be available to you as well, but you have to choose to just subscribe to them. These ones will auto subscribe to you because they want to send notifications out. What we found on our tech side is that once you are associated with a school, so for example, if my son went to Maywood and then he goes to Liberty, if I turned on auto subscribe to Maywood, you would continue to get Maywood notifications, even if my student no longer attended Maywood, but only went to Liberty because he had at one point been associated with that. So we turned off the middle schools to be auto, and then you have to choose to subscribe to them, but the high schools are set to auto. So you might see what your student's high school in here, and they use that for more like in a similar way as the global announcements and sending out notifications that you might need to know for everyone. Like, for example, prom might be on there or something that's happening that's school wide. Otherwise, over here on the side, you have the ability to toggle on and off the courses that your student is associated with. So remember, I had changed the colors so that Elizabeth was set to be my dark color and my other student was set to be my more blue tones. And so I can actually toggle off right now those blue tone ones, and then I can just make sure that I'm only seeing my darker tone classes. I have both of them in here, so it's a little bit different. As I toggle on these things on and off, I will see what is available for each of those classes. So if I'm really just wanting to see what's in this sample ELA course, I can take off all the other classes and just see what's happening. This is, of course, looking at a month view. You can also toggle this to look at a week view. I don't recommend doing week view because if you see what's happening, they're all sitting way, way, way down here because the default time in Canvas for due dates is 11:59 p.m. And if a teacher chooses not to choose the default time, many of them do, so you'll probably see 3 or 4 o'clock p.m. is like kind of due date time. They might all be sitting down here. So it is important that when you're looking, you either choose the month view because you can kind of see what's coming up, or you can also choose the agenda view, which is also going to tell you. So this was due at 11:59. This is coming up on this 23rd, the 27th. You can, if you would like to, take this calendar feed down here and you can actually get the calendar feed and put in your Google Calendar, iCalendar, or Outlook. So if you don't want to have to come to Canvas, but want to keep a track of dates and times. I do not necessarily recommend that as a parent. I do recommend it for students. So if the student has a need of wanting to keep track of that stuff on a personal calendar, they might want to do that. As a parent, I would prefer to keep Canvas for my student, recognizing that I'm working on them becoming independent and using Canvas and being a good student. But it's really up to you on how that works best for your family. But just know that you do have that as an option. So I'm going to
So
just talk.
as yeah, as a tip for parents on using Canvas, I honestly, if I'm going to, I use the agenda view. And also what we recommend to parents is when your child is going to be absent, when you are going to go on a vacation where your child is going to be missing school, when you're trying to consider what period to pull your child out of, or if it's half of a day, it helps you, and you have to take your child out, let's say for a dentist appointment or something. This would be another way to look and say, what are they doing, or what is due, and they were absent this day. Did they, let me make sure and remind them to turn those assignments in. And so this is just a way for parents to help their child understand what they may have missed during absences on planning when they have missed a class or something. The other thing I want to point out is very often parents have commented to me frustration as to why are these assignments all due at nearly midnight? And that is not an unkindness on the teacher or a part. It is just, it's a bit random, like what time is this due? We're not going to say 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. We note that just many kids are going to turn it in sometime before they go to bed. And so whatever time they turn it in that day. So it's just as long they turn it in that day is the key. And and then that's the reason why they have it at that time. So just they set it for that time to
Yeah, you
help
can
them.
see that this one's set to 4 o'clock, which is a much more reasonable time. And teachers do have the option now to change the default due date time, but the default for our whole school district is actually 11:59 p.m. And some people just don't choose to change that. So,
Thank you, Stephanie.
yeah.
Now we're going to course navigation bar.
Yep. So over here, you can get to courses in two ways. You can do it from the dashboard or you can do it from courses. So if I do it from courses, I just want to talk really quickly about the all courses button up here. All courses gives you all courses that your student has been enrolled in and even might show past courses that they were enrolled in. So this is a great way of coming in and seeing that information. You can get to current courses from here. You can get to them from the sidebar over here, and you can get to them from the dashboard. If you have multiple students, getting to them from the dashboard, you can again toggle between your two students. I'm going to go ahead and go into my course, which is the sample ELA course. And you should have some sort of, there should be some sort of consistency, no matter which school your student attends in secondary, of the fact that the front page and the home page looks very similar, and the fact that it should have the teacher's name, the course name. It might have some quick buttons for you to get to some information. It may have a welcome, the teacher contact. Some schools choose to do agendas. Some schools just have the intro information with some buttons to these kind of quick links. But for the most part, they'll all look the same on the home page. Then they have what is called now, this over here is called the course navigation and versus our global navigation on the outside. And course navigation can look slightly different per course, but they should all have a general organization of being alphabetical order. They should either have assignments or modules available. They may have both. It just depends. Other things that are sitting in here I just want to talk about are things like Canva for Education, Office 365, TCI Login. Those are specific apps that you might see But as a parent, you cannot actually log into those because they are specific to Issaquah School District. So if I were to try to log into Canva for Education, it's going to tell me that I don't have an account. Okay, so if I continue this, it's going to be like, you don't have an account. And so it's saying, are you trying to create this account now? Your student has that account. And so they can log in using these, but you won't be able to. So just be aware of the fact that sometimes you're going to see things over here that you just can't access. You will have ability to see assignments. You will have the ability to see grades, modules. So if I were to pop into assignments, this is going to look the same to your student. It's going to show what's upcoming, if something didn't have a date associated with it, and past assignments that they did. I wouldn't recommend clicking to the assignments if you're looking to see grades. So I would recommend clicking grades for that. Modules is what teachers teach from. So modules is kind of like the filing cabinet of Canvas. And so it's how teachers try to organize learning for their students. They may do that through topics. They may do it through dates and times. So it might be more of an agenda type of view. It just kind of depends on how the teacher chooses to do that. And hopefully, if you went to curriculum night, they were able to kind of explain that. More importantly, your student sits in the classroom every day with their teacher, and the teacher explains all of that to them on a daily basis. So teachers stand in front of the classroom, they open a module, they say, I would like you to go here, I want you to click over here. So if you ever are confused or want to learn more about modules, your student is your best resource because they sit in that class day to day and they hear how their teacher wants things done. Lorna, you want to add anything about that?
The main thing I would add is, as a parent, I honestly, you go to assignments, grades, modules, and syllabus. Most of everything else is never used by me. In middle school, especially as a parent, I would sometimes help my child kind of as a coach portion say, oh, you're not sure about this aspect of the lesson. Well, let's go to modules. Let's look for the slide deck, the PowerPoint, any handouts the teacher might have given you, review it so that you can complete the assignment. So module, the teacher has a lot of the resources. So if your child is struggling in an assignment or if they miss something, that is really where you want to go because that's, as Stephanie called it, the filing cabinet. That is where all the old material is stored. So you can, if you're reviewing your child for a test, for example, the teacher may have put a course test review sheet in assignments. You're helping them finish it up and they're completely stuck on some questions for it. Then you can remind them, hey, have you gone to modules? Have you seen that? Because if you no longer have the luxury of having a binder. I don't know if that's a luxury anymore. That's so old school right now. But in the olden days, as a teacher, I used to have a binder with kids having a whole bunch of files or assignments from the previous week so they could use that as they were studying for a test. They may no longer have that. So it's really important that they're looking in the modules to look for past assignments so they can help do the course review or test review or certain assignments. And then the syllabus is key. If you did not attend curriculum night, please make sure you're taking a few minutes and going into the syllabus to see what your teacher is doing in that class. It also includes their grading policy, the expectation, their late work, all of these different things in it. And they'll also tell you the best way to communicate with them, how to email, which email they prefer. So the syllabus is one of the things I tell parents to read very carefully.
Yeah.
Um,
And I was going to try to find one really quickly so I could show you guys what a good example of this is my own personal account, so it looks a little bit different, but we do create templates for our teachers to have access to, and everybody gets kind of the same base level. And so we request that our teachers use that, and they all had the same template. And so the syllabus should look something like this, where it has some information. And so do look at the syllabus. So it should have their grading policies, it should have assessment criteria. This is like one that they hasn't been modified yet, but it is a great place to look. And kind of going back to the modules and how we were just explaining. So here's like a video, here's a file. So, and then there's the assignment. So there's a lot of stuff that was given to the student prior to the assignment. And so sometimes you find that in modules. So if you're just supporting your student at home, make sure that they know that that's a good place to look. Assignments, like I said, was a great place to see things. Syllabus is always where you want to check. We do have a new feature in here where you can search for anything in a course. And so it brings you directly to that. So this is great. And a lot of kids maybe underutilize it. But if they're looking for something specific, they can click on that search button. And then they can put a keyword in. So they're like, there was something in there. And then they're like, oh, here it is. And it links them directly to it. And notice it says, this is an assignment. This is a file. This is a URL. And so they can go directly to those things. And it just searches that course for them. So, and it will only search based off of your role. So, you know, if they have something more specific, they might actually see it there. Are we ready to move on to grades?
Yes, so you have two buttons also. So as we said, assignments, grades, modules, syllabus are always there, and also home is always there. But the grades is the best way to see grade details for that class.
Yes. So grades is where you're going to find a lot of juicy information. So let's talk about that. My student's not doing very well, by the way. No, I did a lot of things on purpose here so that I can show it to you. So first of all, when you go into the grades here, and I just want to clarify that the grades here look very different than the grades in the app. I was an app user because it just gave me, you know, did the student, what grade did they get? And I could quickly and see if it was late or missing. Here you're going to get a lot more information. So just be aware of that. So over here on the side, I can see what my student's grade is. Students have this really nifty thing that they can do on their side, and be very cautious about how you have your students share grades with you, because your students have the ability to go in here and modify these grades to see what is called, and I'm going to put this in air quotes, a what if grade. So if I only got 66 out of 77, what if I got 90 out of 100? And then it changes the score up here. The difference is it gives you a little notification underneath that says that this is not your real grade. This is just a what if grade or a supposed grade. So be aware if they're only screenshotting something right here and not showing the full details up in the corner, because they might be doing something and checking their grades. This has thrown teachers off before too. So I'm just letting you know to be aware of it. Over here, you can see if a teacher is weighting grades. Most of our teachers, I'm going to say, are weighting grades in some way, meaning that they're giving more emphasis to a summative assessment than they are to formative. In this case, formative might be something like homework or classwork, versus the summative is something that they see as like the final thing that the student is showing that they've done the learning. I've added here this one called Savas book, because in this course, there is a book that has 0 grade, nothing is attached to it, but it still looks like an assignment. But it's really just the way that I'm having my student access the book, and it's not worth any points. So knowing what the grade book is and what things mean is very important. So in this case, I'm looking at the sample ELA course for my student Elizabeth, and I'm arranging by due date. You can also do assignment groups, modules, and names. I recommend just doing due date because it's what's the default. You can quickly change from classes here as well, just so you know, and you can even change between students. So getting into grades at any point anywhere in Canvas gives you some choices. I want to talk a little bit about what I'm actually seeing in the grade book here. First of all, I'm seeing the title of the assignment, and notice that when I hover over that, that will link me to the actual assignment. So if I click that open, it takes me to the actual assignment, and I can see that I don't have permission to see this. If you see something like this, it means that the assignment was something that is only for students to see, or that the teacher is not showing the answers to something. In this case, it was actually a quiz. And so the new quiz was showing, not giving the scores and not being able to see the answers, or it required something that we have in our district called Lockdown Browser. Lockdown Browser makes it so that students who are taking the quiz are locked into the quiz and cannot access other websites during the quiz time. And so in this case, it might be locked into it. I can still see the grade up here in the upper right corner. I can see that she submitted it late and when she did it. And then that's about all I can see right here. We'll look at some different assignments though, so we can kind of talk a little bit more about what you might be seeing. But so again, that clicks you in. I can also see which group it's a part of. So this one's part of the formative grade. So it's only 20% of my student's grade. I can see when it was due, when it was submitted, that it was a late status and the score. If there's additional information, I can also see it. This one's letting you know that this is a quiz. It was also turned in late. Let's go down here. This one is letting me know that this one is a student one and it was done on paper. So in this case, the student turned it in to me in hand. And then the information over here on the side, these little icons all mean something different. So this one had actually a rubric score attached to it. So if I open the rubric, it tells me how my student met each of those. And then if I click this, it brings up the comment over here on the side that was associated with the actual assignment. Your student, when they open the comment box, has the option to reply back to the teacher as well. You do not have that opportunity to do that, but your student can. So that's one way that the student can kind of be checking their grades. Let's go ahead and go pop over to Mary Ann.
Can
I'm going
you,
to click.
1 second, Stephanie?
Mhm.
A common thing has come up is sometimes parents, especially in middle school, will see that it says missing. For example, right there in that screen, there are 3 assignments missing, but the one of them is 10 out of 20.
Yeah.
And in some of the teachers' classes, because of the impact of a zero, the teachers may not give a zero. They might just give a student flat 50% for missing work. So it confuses parents sometimes because they think, well, they're turning in all the assignments, they're just getting late. And sometimes the teacher might not say missing, they might forget to put that note. But just note, if you're seeing a lot of 50%, there's a possibility that your child has not turned in those assignments and the teacher is just giving the 50% because it's really hard to come back from a zero, but it's much easier to come back and improve your grade from a 50%.
Yeah. So I flipped over the student because it was exactly going to show that right there. So not only are we seeing missing, but we're seeing 2 types of missing. And I just want exactly what Lorna said. Some teachers choose to set up their grade book so that when they collect online assignment types, which means anything the student submits online, like a typing into the box, submitting a paper to it, it automatically knows when it's missing and late, and they've set their 50% policy. So it will automatically score it as missing with half the points. Some teachers have that same policy set to missing and it will give them 0 points. It depends on the teacher. This is somewhere where you can check the syllabus and see what the teacher is doing. So I just want to let you know that that's some place that you might want to check in, or you could ask that question. Some of the
So,
other, go ahead.
sorry, you have extra time over there.
Yep,
So
I was
can
going
you
to talk
talk
about
about
some
me?
of these.
Thank you.
We have, so Canvas gave it our district the ability to add a few additional icons here. And one of them is extra time. One of them is on paper. And one of them was, I'm trying to remember what the third one was right off the top of my head. So there's extra time. There's a third one. And then the other thing you might also see is this one right here, which is excused. I want to talk about this one because if a student is going into a missing assignment, so like if I were to go into this assignment and it's missing, I might see this. So this one's saying the availability dates were only September 11th to the 13th. So I can't turn it in. So that's a conversation with the teacher saying, we were out of town. Can we give them an extended time? Can they please get some more info, some time to submit? So you might see this. Okay. This is why I'm doing all these things, because these are questions that come up a lot. Then you might see something that was not turned in yet, and it looks like this. And then the student should have the ability to submit the assignment. And so if they're going, well, you can't submit it, so this isn't going to work well for showing you guys. But when your student goes into the assignment, they're going to have the ability to actually submit the assignment. Versus when they go into something that's excused, I think it's, yeah, switch back to Elizabeth. When it's excused, when your student goes into the excused assignment, you can kind of see it's grayed out. It's not great. When they go into it, these things won't even be available to them. So it keeps switching to the other student. But when you go into Marianne, she's not going to be able to click these things and turn anything in. It's going to be all like grayed out for her. And you're going to wonder why. And it's because she's excused from the assignment. So understanding what all of these different things mean inside of Canvas is really important. Late, missing, something was submitted on paper is just the teacher letting you know that they know the students turned it in, but they collected it on paper and haven't got to grading it yet versus it's missing. Okay. So that's just communication. Extra time is communication. Excused means that they're not expecting the student to turn it in. So these all mean different things. If you want to see comments, you just click on them and they open up. If you want to see more details about an assignment, you would have to actually open the assignment. And then sometimes you can see additional information. It depends if the student actually submitted or something or not. I'm trying to find one where I actually submitted something for the student. So this one has comments over here on the side. You can see the student submitted work, and you can even see that there was a rubric attached to it. And if the rubric had been used, you would see the information on the bottom. So lots of information is available in the Graybook, and you get way more information through the website than you do through the app.
So this can be a little bit overwhelming. So the key things to note is a grade high or low, and if there was a feedback, if your child's paying attention to that. And also you for extra time, look at the syllabus because that really will help you a lot. Because again, going back to curriculum night, at curriculum night or in the syllabus, the teacher might have said, I will take all extra work all the way up to blah, blah, blah day. So many teachers have a cutoff date. That is actually one of the things you might get an announcement for. A teacher might send you a announcement or a notification. You will get an email notification kind of style that says, after this test or after this date, I will not be accepting any more late work. In all honesty, at curriculum night, many of the teachers said, I will take assignments all the way up until so and so date. So it honestly depends on your teacher and what they have set for their extra time. So please be sure to look at the syllabus. And if there's an extra time note and it kind of doesn't make sense, for example, in this one, there was extra time, but it
Right.
seemed like it was 100%. And so you might want to say, oh, did they just get extra time for that? And so you can kind of figure out from there. Stephanie, you are
I am
sharing.
all over the place. Something happened with my
Yes,
computer. Give me a second.
no worries. Um, yeah, so those were the grades. And then this sitting it down and talking to your child about the grades and the icons is also very helpful because we have noted that sometimes parents don't really, students don't really know what those comments mean, and they are sometimes, especially in middle school, sixth graders especially, are very hesitant to have that conversation with their teacher. So those of you in this group who have children in sixth grade, really this is the time to help your child figure out how to use Canvas. The teachers are doing a lot of work, but sometimes they miss it, or it was said and they just forgot or something. And then you can encourage them. So the other one is, as much as possible, try to encourage your child to send that email using inbox to the teacher rather than you jumping on it yourself. Because one of the big tips we give to parents for middle school is this is a perfect way to help you have you coach your child in communicating with a teacher. So they can go to inbox and say, Dear Miss Johnson, I noticed that I have an assignment marked 0 and I turned it in 2 days ago. Could you
Mhm.
please check and see if you have it or if I somehow forgot, it wasn't submitted. So those are the kinds of conversations we always recommend that we have students have with a teacher. And that then you can help them check and say, oh, what did your teacher say? Because sometimes the follow-up conversation might be in the classroom. And if you're noticing that there was no response to that, then you can go and then you would be the second wave of advocacy and asking the teacher question. Or if you're asked, so the coach your child as much as possible to be the one using inbox to ask the questions. And if that's not working out, then the next tool in your tool belt is for you to email the teacher yourself.
And I just wanted to point out here that I'm under assignments and you can actually see the available until date. So this lets you know that if a student, so this one was due on the 18th, but it's available until the 15th. So that's what Lorna was just talking about right now, that sometimes teachers will accept work up until like end of the trimester, end of the semester. So you can always see that date here as well. And it also tells you here if they were excused or if they have already turned it in and gotten points for it. So looking under assignments is also a helpful tool. And again, that's only available through the website. It is not as clean and easy to look at from the app.
Stephanie, can you do the section on the main dashboard homepage? There's another way to link into grades. Can you show what that view
Yeah.
looks like? Thank you.
So when you're on the dashboard again, if you go over here on the right-hand side and you just scroll past all of these like kind of notifications, right here is the view grades down here. And this is where it will take you to each of the classes so you can have a really quick overview of your students. So if I were doing this, I would be like, okay, I'm going to go look at this class right here because I'm concerned. And then it will take you directly to that course and you can see missing, and then that's spurring that conversation that you're having with your student. Obviously, this is way old, 2020.
Stephanie, one of the questions that has come up, and has this been fixed? Because I know last year you had a toggle and you had to kind of turn off for trimester one, or if you were in trimester two to trimester three, you had to switch that.
Yeah,
Can
so
you
that
just give me?
is high school classes are technically semester-based courses. So actually, if I go back to let me go back to the dashboard because it's actually Elizabeth. Well, actually, it's my sample ELA class. This one is technically studying in terms. And so what happens with the high school classes is that they have two terms. And so they have quarter one and quarter two. We had it set for a moment there with quarter one and quarter two, and you would have to toggle between them. Right now, the way we have it set is that you shouldn't have to do that because we made it so that there's only quarter one and semester one. So everything is in semester one, no matter what. And then if you want, only teachers really need to worry about seeing the quarter one grade. So parents and students shouldn't have to do anything to see the grade for the class over the whole course.
And the last tip I will have to say to you about if you have a high school child, I know for my high school daughter last year, I was quite shocked because right after her finals, I think I delayed too long in looking at some of her grades and they were all gone because they started the next semester. So then for me to look at some of her final grades, I had to go into family access. So
Or
of
you can go
course,
to courses, all courses, and you can go to past enrollments. We currently have past enrollments kind of shut down though, so just be aware of that. So this is my old course. Um, and so the students could come in here and look at their old course grade.
but
See if she,
that's not possible right now.
right now it depends on the school on how they have that set. But Skyward is better for going for past grades because that's
Yeah.
the grade of record.
So just keep in mind during the grade in high school, during the final exams, kind of check during that time. But once a certain date has passed in January, the teachers might switch, and then that's fine. You can just look at family access, or if that is turned on for your school, you might go into previous grades.
Yeah, and you can
So,
see here that I can't click these assignments anymore. They're not clickable. They're not hyperlinked anyway because they're closed. They're done and over.
So we're just doing the syllabus for the grading policy, and we've talked about that, understanding the grade book, the inbox, and now we're into the Canvas mobile app.
Before we go there, I just want to show everyone down here on the outside app, you have this help button down here. And under here, you can get to Canvas 101 for parents and guardians. And I just want to let you know that this is a great space and place to come to if you do have questions about using Canvas. And we've organized it a little bit differently in the last few months. So hopefully this is a little bit easier, but you can get, getting started managing your notifications. So we go over some of this information, the grades, the calendar, some guides supports. And then if you want access to the student commons, which is where your students have access to kind of like library and some other stuff.
Stephanie, we did have one parent ask about students setting their personal email in Canvas. So for a middle schooler who wants to put their personal email in Canvas, where would they do that in settings?
So they go up here to the account and then they go to settings, just like we would. And they go to the settings, and then over here they can add an email address, and then they could add like a personal email. So you can see here that the parent has added an additional email because I feel like somebody else is using this account right now.
So one of yes. So one of the things, Stephanie, is just a reminder though, even if a student enters their personal email, they cannot get emails from people outside. So this is a safety and security feature. The students cannot get emails from people outside the system, school system, to the Canvas or to their
ISD
school
email. Yes.
ISD, which
Yeah.
is the Office 365 kind of folder.
Yes. The Issaquah.wednet email will not accept anything that we haven't, it is not either from our district itself or whitelisted and approved by our district.
So what is the benefit again for having a student put in their email in this setting?
I think for older students, especially, and I would caution this to be 13 and older, because that is where COPA and FERPA really distinguish the age that a student should be able to have a personal email and have, like social media accounts. So 13 and older, if your student's under 13, you should probably be monitoring any email that they have, which if you ever need tips on that, let me know. But 13 and older have that responsibility, and that they might prefer it to go to their personal email because that might be one that they check more often. And so they're trying to keep up on things. So I think it has to do more with their personal ability to check and use and what they're using more frequently.
Okay, thank you so much. And before you leave and you stop sharing your screen, can you leave us by showing us again the QR code on the dashboard? Because as we start our mobile app presentation, we will talk about the QR code from the computer.
Yep. So once you've logged into the website version of Canvas, you go to the account in the upper left-hand corner. And then right over here on the side is QR for mobile login. And you are just going to say, yes, I want to proceed, understanding that this is going to do that. And then please don't use that QR code because that would log you into my account right now. But it expires in 10 minutes. So you would have to create that code, but you just create that code and then you can use your app to log in. So you would want to do this for your personal account, and then it would log in and it would show you your students. I'm going to move off of that so that you guys don't use my code.
And if you stop sharing, Steph, I will start sharing my screen and we can move on to Canvas. Thank you so much for that part.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so now we're going to switch and talk about the Canvas mobile app. I will tell you, I have a huge preference for Canvas mobile app, especially as my child moved into the high school, because in the high school now I am no longer really monitoring the modules and assignments or helping her with it. For parents who are who are children in 6th and 7th grade, especially in 6th grade, I definitely would recommend using it on a desktop, laptop, or sitting with them while the child is using the laptop as their help navigating, so that it's just helpful, because sometimes they just are not sure how to access an assignment or something. But in most cases, parents use the Canvas mobile app, and it's pretty simple. One, you can log in or you can set it up using the QR code from the laptop, or you can search for it and navigate to it. It might be slightly complex, especially if you have not saved or if you're unsure about your password. But it is limited and very different from the entire desktop, because you cannot really get all the features that Stephanie just demonstrated. Really, you cannot get most of the features that Stephanie just demonstrated. One of the things it can do, is that you can set alerts for grades if your child is getting certain grades on assignments less than a certain percentage or letter grade. And also, you still have access to the inbox to communicate with teachers and getting notifications as needed. So to do the Canvas mobile app, you're going to go to the App Store, you're going to look for Canvas, and note, there are two different, on this one it's two different, but there's an orange one too sometimes, which is Canvas for Teacher, yellow, orange. And so you really want to always stick and look for the blue Canvas for Parents. So when you find the Canvas for Parents, you're going to find the Issaquah School District. So when you get to that page, please be sure that you then search for or type in Issaquah School District. Once you get the Issaquah School District, you're going to put in the Issaquah, it'll automatically give you the Issaquah School District there. And then once you do that, you're going to see. So the next step is, again, be sure that you have the IssaquahInstructure.com. This should be blue, otherwise this is for students since it's red. So it would be Issaquah.instructure.com with a blue logo. And then you can, if you remember it from the desktop, you can do a username or password, or you can also reset your password here, and you'll get an email notification immediately, notifications@instructure.com. Again, a reminder, this is key. Don't forget to make this a safe sender, and it's make sure that they always, anything from Instructure or notifications at Instructure come into your inbox and not in your spam. And then you're going to see the landing page. So this is immediately you get this page. And so that's nice because you can immediately get a very easy snapshot of your child's grade. Things are looking good. You don't really need to look into details. If you do need to look into the details, everything looks like it has not changed. Then you can click on the class and then you can look for more details for that class. You can also read some inboxes, but this is a quick glance as to what you can see on that first landing page. Over here, you'll see that there are these little lines over here with the number, and that is your inbox messages from teachers. And there you will see all the messages coming in from your teacher. You can also email your teacher by clicking onto this logo icon, and so that you can email that teacher from your phone if there's something going on, or you need to be the one to communicate rather than your child about a question going on, about something going on in class. One of the features I personally like about the app is this one where you can set alerts. So over here, you can go to Manage Students, and under Manage Student, you can choose which of the two students or whatever number of children you have in secondary grades. And you can turn on, really, there aren't that many features to turn on. Maybe most likely you're doing missing assignments or course announcements. So you can turn on those. Stephanie, is there anything else for alerts that I might be missing?
It's just remember, those alerts that are set from this app are 100% different alerts than the ones set from the website. But I do like these ones because you can set parameters for like grades above or grades below. So if you have like rules for your students that you want them to have like 80% and above on assignments, if they get a grade below an 80%, you can set that threshold.
If you're having problems with Canvas or even with family access, we have a little sheet to help you note who to contact. So if you cannot access, if your child is struggling with student access, they're only going to use student access when they're doing registration in March and other looking at their final grades. You're going to use family access to check attendance, to check final grades. And then Canvas for students, the student should be asking their teacher, the school librarian. Canvas for parents, there's an email you can send to the ISD EdTech help person, and they can help you. Very often that's Stephanie. Laptop and hardware, there's an IT person in each building. Apps, the teacher who's managing that app will email someone to get help. ClassLink and Zello, there is a staff in the ISD admin building who supports students with those. And then if you have an elementary child, just note that the ISD help person can also help with that. And for the students, it's the classroom teacher for help for that. And then there are many resources on the website. I know this presentation is now an hour and 18 minutes. But we have mini videos just logging in, dashboard, notification, grades. We have mini videos on the web page, on the Issaquah School District site, so that you can just say, hey, what did she say again? And instead of watching the whole video, fast forwarding, just go to that. Or Stephanie did an amazing job this time, because last time we usually went back and forth, but this time she just recorded everything on that page. So you can just fast forward to that section and say, what did she say again? The video will be posted most likely on the web page by Monday. And then there, as she noted, that there was a great many resources, and the resources are also in multiple languages. So a lot of resources for Canvas that are in the page, the Canvas for Parents page, and over there, and I can kind of help show you where that might be. And then finally, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact one of the family liaisons to help you answer any questions. In the next week, I'm hoping that you spend some time looking at Canvas, setting up your account, exploring, and if you're really struggling or if you need help, on the 25th of September, we are going to have an in-person help session, and parents sometimes just come in and say, I don't understand what this is going, what's happening. I'm struggling setting up with this. So usually we have about half an hour time slots to help parents understand and get help in doing this. And that's the QR code if you need that, and I'll be sending that to you. And finally, we are at the end of our session. So at this time, we're going to be able to take some questions, but I'm going to just leave this screen on for a few minutes so that you can give some feedback for us and complete the feedback form. And those families who do complete the feedback form, I will be sending you a copy of the slide deck, and then eventually the video when it's ready. Hopefully it's ready by the end of this week. Couple things are, here are some examples of what it looks like when you get the email. I have mine set to once a day, and then all the emails are coming in through ISD Canvas. So you see that unless it's an actual email from a teacher, then it shows up as the teacher's name. But when you, it's still coming from notifications though. But you can note that it's not the summary versus an announcement from that teacher. Okay. Okay, Stephanie has some information about the parent night coming up.
I put a plug in for it. So if you're a Cougar Mountain or a Maywood parent, on October 10th, they are hosting a parent